Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kasumi and Sarah, and welcome back to our podcast, What's New in the News on Tuesday afternoon.
This week's topic will be, do vloggers and bloggers fit into the world of journalism? Just for you listeners out there, bloggers write material for online websites and vloggers produce video content. So to start off with, this is for our young listeners out there. Recognize the names Zoella, Joe Sugg, Pointless Blog, and even the notorious Logan Paul. They are all vloggers and pretty much household names to the younger community. Have you heard of these people, Sarah?
Of course I have, Kasumi. I actually grew up watching a couple of their videos, and with millions of followers online, they are pretty hard to miss.
Well, do you know Zoella actually started out as a blogger on a website giving reviews on movies and makeup brands?
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, when you think of the power of the internet in today's society, with platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, it's pretty easy to see how a lot of today's youth is influenced by the topics these vloggers and bloggers talk about. But what I'd like to know is, how do the vloggers and bloggers fit within the world of journalism and the news? Can they be reporters of the news, or do you think they're simply social media figures chatting to a camera or typing onto a screen about trivial issues?
To be honest, I think they're more than public figures. I mean, vloggers get invited to media events now with press passes. So most of the time, journalists and bloggers are placed into the same category, but we have to split the two apart because a blogger is basically someone who posts about their own opinion on an online platform, whereas a journalist provides information to a mass media publication. Both journalists and bloggers present information to the public on current issues. However, nowadays bloggers or vloggers are placed in a position of influence. They have become sort of what you would call a social media personality.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I can definitely see how a lot of bloggers have gone a lot further than just the content they're producing, and we now see them appearing online in things like Instagram where we tend to follow them. But I think that's also the same said for journalists, especially TV presenters and radio hosts. I mean, look at Lisa Wilkinson from The Project. Doesn't she have something like 288,000 followers on Instagram? And I mean, Sylvia Jeffreys from The Today Show, she has about 208,000 followers. So it's definitely there within the journalist community as well.
That's definitely true. The two definitely intertwine. I mean, I follow bloggers, vloggers, and journalists online and on platforms such as social media. So as we've discovered, the two definitely cross over quite a bit, but do you really think a blogger can call themselves a journalist? I mean, a journalist can spend up to 4 years studying about media. We learn about what you do behind the scenes, and we learn about study guidelines. Is it fair that a person can wake up one morning, post a story online, and then call themselves a journalist?
I think that's a really tough one there. I mean, by no means is blogging easy. I think you definitely have to have the talent and the ability to entertain people. But I think as a journalist, you definitely have to adhere to much stricter guidelines about what you can and can't publish. And of course, you can't be biased.
Definitely, and journalists have to present themselves in more of a professional manner. Like with bloggers, some bloggers swear or beep themselves out at certain times or even write swear words in their posts, whereas a journalist definitely can't do that. So they have to conduct themselves in a professional manner because this is their job. They're actually getting paid to do what they do. And bloggers pretty much blog about whatever they want. But I also feel that not all news outlets are following the traditional approach to journalism, especially when it comes to online journalism. I mean, look at the success of the Daily Mail on Snapchat.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Kasumi. I guess we see news organisations such as BuzzFeed and Huffington Post, and even news organisations such as Cosmopolitan, they're relying more and more on social media to report on the news and also promote their stories. A lot of what they are posting is very opinionated, and it appears to me to be very similar to bloggers and vloggers and what they're reporting on, which I guess is where the lines kind of blur between whether or not a blogger can be considered a journalist or whether they even fit into that category of journalism.
Exactly, I completely agree. So, I guess ultimately, when we're answering this week's topic questions, do bloggers and vloggers fit within the world of journalism? It's sort of a yes and a no answer. The two worlds definitely intertwine. We've seen this when social media personalities get invited to media events. But at the end of the day, if I want to get my news, I'm going to rely on a news outlet over some person behind a computer who we don't even know.
I guess you're right there. Yeah, I think definitely when it comes to the hard-hitting issues, it's important to go to the journalists. But then at the same time, I think bloggers can really provide a good outlook on the same issue. They just provide that little bit extra, a little bit of an opinion and something else that sort of just adds onto the story. So I think the field of journalism is wide enough to include bloggers, but I don't think that they can be considered journalists on their own.
Exactly. I think another point would be that bloggers have their own little area. I mean, a lot of bloggers don't cover really big issues like natural disasters, politics, but we can rely on them for opinions about movie reviews, brands, clothes, because we're getting their opinion on something.
Exactly right. I think there is really a clear definition between the two, but it does become blurred in different situations.
Exactly. We'd love to know your opinion on this, and we can even chat about it again next week. And if you have any other topics for us to consider, definitely give us a text on 1300 6748.
Love to see you next week for next week's podcast. We'll have it on another fantastic topic on what's new in the news. But I think that's about it for tonight.
Thank you for listening, guys. This is Sarah and Kasumi on What's New in the News.